BlaqueWitchYaya mama. BlaqueWitchYaya mama. BlaqueWitchYaya mama.
Hello you all, I'm BlaqueWitchYaya. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and today I want to tell you guys a story that was submitted by one of our subscribers, and I will keep your information and all the personal names private, but she wanted me to share this story, and I'm glad she shared it with me about how she healed her grandfather and how that caused conflict between her and her mother. So for the sake of this story, let's name the people right now while it's on fresh on my head. For the daughter, we'll call you, because I'm sure you're watching, we'll call you Vivian. For the mother, we'll call her Martha. For the father, which is the mother's father, Vivian's grandfather, we'll call him Tommy. Okay, I think that's good. So Vivian, Martha, Tommy. Vivian is the daughter of Martha. Martha is the daughter of Tommy. Tommy is the father to Martha. Tommy is the grandfather to Vivian. So let's start out with the earlier years of Vivian. Much like a lot of people I feel who are in spirituality now, she used to always say she's making up these potions and teas and medicines when she was growing up, right? So immediately everyone's like, oh, look at her, she's mixing up these sodas and she's calling it a potion. She's trying to mock the people that she see on TV. She's going to be a chemist. She's going to be a nurse because she likes healing people. Like if someone got like a little boo-boo, she'll be the one to go get the band-aid and play nurse and all that stuff. So everyone is like, oh my god, little baby is about to be a doctor or a nurse or a chemist, because she was always into mixing up stuff and applying it and trying to make people drink it, even if it's soda and dish soap, to make it seem like it's a potion. She was always into the movies where people are making potions, doing experiments. She said she used to watch Zoom and she used to do all those experiments and crafts on there as well. I'm like, she sound like me. So we can fast forward to her adult life. She went to school. She didn't become a nurse. She went to school. She said she got a basic major just to get a nice corporate job. So she's working. She's living out of state, but she decided to move back home to Oklahoma. I got people watching me in Oklahoma. Shout out to y'all. So she's working. She's doing the things, very successful, making really good money, has a great family, all that stuff. She's living a very beautiful life until one day she got a call from her mother, Martha, saying that her father, Tommy, granddaddy Tommy we'll call him, was sick. Even though they caught what was going on early. So of course immediately Vivian is upset. She's sad because she grew up with her granddaddy. Like that's her best friend. She didn't really have a father, so her granddaddy was like her father figure. So she's thinking, well, maybe this is just the circle of life. He's getting older. Maybe this is just the path that's meant for him to take. So she's thinking, okay, well, it's happening. Let me just enjoy him while I still have him. Let me call and FaceTime him. And so as she's doing that, she's noticing that there's still a lot of life within her granddaddy. Yeah, he's sick, but he's still laughing. He's still joking. He's still going out in the yard trying to mow the lawn. Like you wouldn't look at him and be like, oh, he just got diagnosed with so-and-so. He still had a lot of life and energy within him. So she's like, this isn't the circle of life. This is too soon for this to happen. He still has too much life within him. So she calls her mother. She's like, listen, summer's coming up. I got a whole bunch of PTO. I'll take a few weeks off. I'll see if I could squeeze in a month for a family emergency. And I want to go back just to help you take care of him. I know it's a lot on your hands. I moved out. Now all of a sudden your dad is moving in. I know it's a lot. Let me just come and help you. Her work actually gave her as much time as she needed off. She was able to work from home, so she was able to bring her computer and everything over to her mother's house, still continue to work and just help and be of assistance for her granddaddy. So immediately when she got there, she noticed that yeah, her mom was helping, but it was like, if he's sick, maybe he shouldn't be eating these certain items. Like she's giving him a lot of soups that's trying to, make him, he doesn't really have an appetite like that. So she's trying to make these hearty soups for him. But these soups are filled with pork and grease and salt. But in her mom's head, this is soup. It's liquidy. It tastes good. He likes it. But she's like, well, let's try to move on to something a little bit more lighter, a little bit more cleaner and healthier to see if we could stop what's going on before it keeps spreading. So her mother is telling her, I mean, we can, but I don't want to deprive him of the food he likes. My daddy likes when I cook this type of soup. He likes when I cook this for him. I don't want to deprive him. I want him to be able to enjoy his food. I mean, yeah, he's sick, but there's nothing we could do about it. There's no cure for this. So why are we going to take away his favorite foods in the process? Like, she's causing the whole scene because she's thinking that her daughter's coming in trying to take over. Like, she don't know how to take care of her own daddy, right? So Vivian's like, oh no, mom, I'm not trying to say that, but maybe we can have his blood pressure lowered a little bit. Let's just see, does that help? Let's make the quality of his life a little bit better during this time. So the mom was like, okay, well, since you want to take over, you do all the cooking then. So Vivian's like, perfect, I will. So to the mom, she thought she just proved the point. She thought Vivian wasn't going to be able to handle all the cooking, all the special requests that Tommy likes to have in his food. I want this cooked like this. I want this medium rare. I want this sauteed nicely. I want this a little bit crunchy. But Vivian was like, bump all that. I'm going to cook you what I want to cook you. She was cooking different vegetable soups with no salt, applying different herbs. And for his drinks, she kind of tapped back into her childhood with her concoctions that she was making before. So since Vivian was handling all the cooking, the mother, Martha, didn't really even find herself inside the kitchen that much. Until one day she smelled something that was so good, so citrusy, just so fresh. And so she walked into the kitchen. She's like, Vivian, what you making? This smells good. And Vivian was in the middle of making a special tea for her granddaddy. The mother walks in. She sees a whole bunch of glass jars, some with herbs in it, some with oil. She don't really know what it is. Some with different stuff in jars, and she didn't know what was going on. The mother, Martha, knows that Vivian is like a little earthy. They call her hippie. They know she's a little different. So immediately she's like, I know you ain't about to give my daddy no weed. As soon as she saw herbs, her mind immediately went to marijuana. And Vivian's like, no, there's no weed on this table. I'm just making him some tea to help soothe his stomach. She just lied and said, oh yeah, his stomach hurts. I'm just making him a tea to soothe his stomach. So the mother leaves and she's like, okay, well, can you fix me some too? It smells really good. Because Vivian was up in there boiling the herbs. She had the house all lit up. It smelled like ginger and fruit. It was like just a whole thing going on. So she's like, sure, you just get some rest. And she told her to get some rest because her mother suffered from lipedema. So she had like really bad swelling in her legs. Sometimes it will hurt or weigh her down. She stands too much. And that's also why Vivian didn't mind taking over the cooking as well, because she's like, if you're going to be cooking these big old meals for him, you don't need to be standing on your feet that long. So she just told her to go get some rest. She's finished up her concoction with the tea. She keeps them in jars so they could just pour some if she's ever out and about. They always have access to it, right? So she fixes her granddaddy some tea and he is in love with it. He likes to have it iced. He drinks it all the time. Now let's get into Vivian's head, okay? In this tea, there are a mixture of different herbs, right? And speaking of a mixture of different herbs that you can use for teas, you can also use herbs to cleanse your crystals as well. And that's what I'm making right here, my crystal dry rub, which is an all-in-one crystal cleanser that you can use in your jewelry box to keep your crystals cleansed and charged when you're not wearing them. If you're ever doing a ritual outside, full moon, have your crystals out in the sun, just sprinkle some of the crystal dry rub onto your crystals and let magic happen, okay? You can use this on all of your crystals because you know on certain ones that you can't use water on, like pyrite, malachite, you can use the crystal dry rub. Sprinkle a little magic on every single one of your crystals. And if you don't have crystals, you can make a collection at BlaqueWitchYaya.com. But let's get back to Vivian's herbs. So basically, I'm trying to be careful when I say this because YouTube will say you're spreading medical information and they'll flag your channel. So basically, she made different herbs with ginger, elderberry. She had some soursop squeezed up in there. She had some burdock root, but she made it taste really good. It was, you know how sometimes herbs taste like dirt? This tasted like a citrusy, juicy juice when it was cold. She said when it was warm, it's nasty. But when it's cold, almost like a herby orange juice. And she even had like different types of oils in the tea as well, but it didn't taste oily. Like it just purely tastes like juice. I need to get, because herbs be tasting like herbs, okay? And her granddaddy drunk that tea all day, multiple times a day. And as he was drinking it, Martha was drinking it as well. And she slowly realized that her lymphedema was dissolving. I guess dissolving is the right word. She noticed the swelling was going down. Over time, the swelling wouldn't happen as often. Vivian kept making the tea, making sure they stayed on deck with it, going to the herb shop, making sure she had a collection. No one ever really seen her make it step by step by step, but she made sure some was always there. So with Martha's swelling going down, see, she's associating that with, oh, look, all this time I've been standing up in that kitchen. My legs been swelling. That's why my legs were swelling, because I was in the kitchen all day. As soon as I sit down, take some time out for me, my swelling go down. So she's associating it with, I'm able to rest and not cook all day, because y'all know old school people, the meals they cook, you in the kitchen all day because they're gonna take 6-7 hours to cook one of those. So she's like, oh, what you cooking? Like, it's easier on me. I could get around a little bit more, not so much swelling or pressure at the bottom of my foot, not retaining water so much. So she's associating it with that. And I think y'all know where the story is going, right? And with Vivian cooking now on Sundays, Martha has more time to go to church, because she started slowing down going to church because she was afraid of leaving her daddy alone. But she started back going to church more often. So she's telling all the people, oh, my daughter moved back in with me, gave me time to rest, my swelling going down. Everyone's saying how good her legs are looking, because she's wearing a little, you know, she's showing her ankles now in her church skirts, because, you know, the swelling went down, so her legs looking good. The doctor is lowering her prescription doses. Like, the mother is thriving, right? So you may be wondering, okay, so is this tea helping out the granddaddy? So in the granddaddy's case, he was dealing with something a little bit more than just lymphedema, of course, if y'all know where I'm going. But over time, he noticed that he wasn't as lethargic. He wasn't sleepy at night. He was able to ease off into sleep instead of just dropping and going to sleep. In the morning, he had a little bit more energy. He noticed that he was getting the brightness back in his skin. He wasn't looking so pale. His lips were lightening back up. They weren't dark from lack of oxygen. He had better blood flow in his fingers. So it was little changes that was going on. Now going back into Vivian's head, she dosing that man up with herbs, oils, got candles burning for him. He don't even know that he is on her altar trying to make him heal. Like, she's doing all of this work behind the scenes. She's up there getting sacrifices done for him. She's going to the shops to make sure that she gets all these readings and prayers done. She is going to witch town, witch work. And you probably noticed by now that Vivian is a herbalist. So yeah, on her corporate job, she's doing good, but she's making most of her income because she's a herbalist as well. And she down with the witch-ish, right? So let's just fast forward days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months go by. The dad is drinking the tea. Vivian's burning candles for him, doing different things for him behind the scenes on her altar, channeling different spirits, giving him massages on his feet, using different crystals to remove toxins from his body, while washing his feet with different herbs and crystals and oils and waters to remove the toxins out of his feet. And he gradually over time began to feel better. He didn't feel sickly in the first place, but he noticed that he feels something different. So he's assuming, oh, I'm around my grandbaby, she cooking for me, I'm happy, right? So now it's time for him to go to the doctor. About 3 months pass by. It's time for him to go back to the doctor, right? He goes to the doctor. I'm not sure what he gets done. She didn't tell me in here. I'm not sure of the actual procedure, and the results are different than before. They're like, this is inconclusive right now. We need to do more research. We'll send you over here. Went to that doctor. They found the same results. Let's send you to this clinic. The same results. The doctors have meetings. They're trying to figure out what's going on, because what they found before is MIA. They're looking all over his body to see did something travel. They're trying to see did something dissolve and ripple off, like what's going on. Are you having any seizures? Are you having any sicknesses? Are you under stress? They're trying to ask him all these questions, going through all these exams, because they no longer could find what they found before. So immediately when Vivian hears this news and it's finalized that he beat the battle, he's good to go, everything is clear, she is so ecstatic. So now she's ready to share with her family. Like, she's like, listen, I've been praying to the ancestors, I've been praying to my Orisha, I've been praying to my spirits, I've been burning candles for him, I've been putting him on my altar, I've been channeling and praying to the Orishas and the spirits, my ancestors. I have done this, I've done that, those baths I were doing, I put bloodstones crystals in there, and I also put a little bit of Florida water, Canadian water, and I use palm oil when I give him massages. I have put this in the tea, and this helps move these type of cells around. That's why I wasn't letting him eat meat. She's going on this full tangent about what she did, the prayers that she did, and all this stuff, because she's finally feeling free that, oh my gosh, it worked. Her mother slaps her, and her mother looks at her in the eye. She said, don't you ever in your life in front of my face discredit Jesus. This is the power of the Lord. You talking about all the stuff you've been doing? I've been going to that church every single Sunday asking the church to pray for him. I suggest you find your way to the bank this week. And Vivian's like, what's at the bank? I called the pastor this morning to tell him the good news, and I told him we'll have a nice little offering waiting for him this Sunday. So Vivian is pissed. She's like, what are we giving him an offering for? How much did you say we'll give? Well, what is this for? She's like, don't worry about how much. Just give what you can give. This man has been praying for my daddy every single day since we got the bad news, and now he's healed. So now I want to thank him for his prayers. Without him, who would have known what happened? So Vivian gets snarky. She's like, well, you just said Jesus healed, so why are we giving an offering to a man? That's not just any man, Vivian. That is a man of God. That is the man who delivers my word to me, so I need to thank him. Oh, I got in a character for that. So Vivian, she is annoyed. She's happy that her granddad is healed, but she kind of was expecting for her mother to react like that. But she tells her, listen, I'm leaving this week. Granddad is okay now. He's moving back to his own spot. You guys, I see you no longer need me. Mind you, the granddad is not saying nothing the entire time. But she's like, listen, you no longer need me. Your lymphedema is healed. I guess Jesus did that too. You can give Pastor Franklin your offering, but I'm going to go thank Aunt Keely. I'm going to go thank Uncle Sam. I'm going to go thank BlaqueWitchYaya. I'm going to go thank Sarah at the Botanica 2 miles down. And so Martha, she is just so genuinely confused by Vivian. She's like, Uncle Sam and Aunt Keely are dead. They gave me the recipe for that tea. BlaqueWitchYaya got it in my hands while I did it. I'm going to go thank the real healer. I'm going to go thank my damn self. She leaves. She don't know what happened from there, but she heard from one of the church members that literally her mom came up in that church on Sunday hooting and hollering, jerking and screaming about how Jesus and the pastor and the church prayers healed her daddy. Before we state our opinions, let's finish the story. Now Vivian's back at her home. She hears what her mom's did, right? So now a few days pass by. Vivian still hasn't spoke to her mom because she just feels like all of her work, just because she doesn't necessarily agree with it, just got discredited, and all the proud power and the praise went to Jesus. Not that she was expecting a full ceremony, just in the moment where she was sharing all the stuff that she did behind the scenes and trying to make him feel better was just like literally, it was literally a slap in the face. So now her granddaddy is back to independent living, back to his home, because when I say he healed to the point where it's like good to go. Just come once a month just so we could keep examining you to make sure whatever you had don't come back. Like he's good to go. He's back living on his own, right? So one day she gets a call from him. Mind you, he didn't say anything the entire argument. She's not sure what he said behind, like while she wasn't there, to his daughter. So he was just quiet. And he calls her, and the first thing he said was, do you think you could start mailing me some of the teas or give me the ingredients so I can make it? And she said in that moment, she just began to cry because him asking for the tea, asking for the ingredients, let her know that he acknowledged her efforts and knows what was really going on the entire time. So she tells him, she's like, listen, I don't want to get in the middle of anything. You got my mom there for help, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, I never seen anyone clean my feet with crystal and random gunk in a jar, talking about the mixture she made. He's like, if you could mail me the tea or show me how to make it, I'll really appreciate it. Felt like she got the closure she needed, because him saying that is kind of like, I know it was a lot of drama, but I got you. I understand what you did, and I would like to continue with this diet that you put me on because it healed me, you know? So let's get into my outtake from it. First of all, I'm glad that her granddaddy was able to acknowledge her efforts. It was odd for the mom to react that way. I know how sometimes Christians can be, you know, how they like to, you know, say man can't do nothing, Jesus heals all, Jesus does all. And listen, I'm not going to say the pastor prayers, the church prayers, or anybody Christian prayers didn't count. I'm not going to say that. And she didn't say that either. She's like, I'm sure we all worked on one accord, but why was her efforts just pushed to the side because people don't agree with it? Like everyone worked together to heal. And she's kind of like, yeah, you were praying, but you were giving him pork soup when he's trying to heal. Which I agree. Like, of course, I feel that when you pray for something, you have to put in the efforts yourself for it. You just can't pray, sit back, don't do nothing, don't change nothing, and expect a miracle to happen, or assuming that what happened was just purely a miracle and not the efforts from her as well. So I'm sure the church prayers, the pastor prayers, everyone who was sending good healing energy his way played a part. But let's not act like that would have happened if he kept eating fried food, sugary Kool-Aid, was up there just lethargic, laying down, not doing nothing, not putting forth the effort daily, all day to heal. Let's not act like that would have happened if he was still scarfing down fried pork chops and grits in the morning. You know, I feel that she really put forth the physical and the spiritual aspect into his healing. And I honestly feel that probably played a major, or not the biggest, role in that. And I feel like that could have been acknowledged. Even if you don't agree with the beliefs, you have to really sit back and look at, like, okay, what I was doing, I was helping my daddy out the best way I could, not discrediting her efforts because she was doing what she could. But let's not act like her coming in didn't play a major part. And let's not act like her coming in and fixing your diet and what you do and giving you herbs and teas didn't help your lymphedema. We're not going to talk about that. I'm not saying the church prayers didn't help. But I know what happened when you really get into that root work and when you really start going in. I know how powerful that can be, because that's our original magical power, you know? So you guys let me know down below, what do you think of this entire story? What would you have done if you were in Vivian's situation? To me, she took it on the chin like a champ because she didn't want to disrespect her mother, of course. I would have attended that church service and be like, and guess what? My witchy behind was in the kitchen cooking up herbs, crystals. I was doing... I'm just kidding. I would have left it alone. So I'm like, okay, girl, believe what you believe. But you guys let me know down below, what would you have done if you were in Vivian's situation? What do you think about herbs as healing properties? Let me know all that down below. But like I always say, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. Until next time, you guys.
BlaqueWitchYaya.